everybody. It's Bourbon Bill, and tonight, a very special episode. We're diving into the new darling of Whiskey Tube, a bourbon that won the 2024 Ascot Awards for Best Bourbon and got a double gold in the San Francisco Whiskey Spirits and all that other crap competition. And somebody asked, Bourbon Bill, what's your thoughts on it? You tend to set us straight, and we're going to do that tonight. So if you've been living under a rock and you don't know, tonight we're reviewing Smokeye Hill Barrel Proof Bourbon. So, big shout out to Dave Vogelsang for sending me a sample. His came in at 131.4 proof. And special thanks to John from Gentleman of Whiskey for also sending me a sample. And his was 131.2 proof. So, no other channel's given you is their batch variety. And tonight, we're going to find out. So, if you're unfamiliar with this, I was too. Never heard of it. Smokeye Hill? Nope. Never heard of them. Kind of a smaller distillery. This is a 4-grain, so it's got blue corn, yellow corn, malted barley, and rye in it. I believe they distill it at MGPs, but I think it's a contract distillation, so I don't think they're just buying it. I think they wanted to produce this mash bill, and the MGP is just distilling it for them. So that's kind of cool. Age, greater than 5 years. And that's as much transparency as we're getting. So we don't really know the age exactly, other than it's greater than 5 years. It's probably 5 years, right? Or else they would have bumped up the age on that. Price, $84.99, $85 a bottle for this. Now, before it won all these awards, right? Before you've heard about it, you walk into a liquor store, you see this on the shelf, 5-year-old bourbon whiskey for $85. What is your first thought? It better be that's staying on the shelf. Okay, that is just not a good value for an unknown bourbon. It's not. It's not. So, were the Ascot Awards rigged? Was the San Francisco, whiskey tasting competition, was that not correct? Of course they're not. They always pick dumb shit over really good bourbons that we all know to be false. And yes, it's blind. I don't really know who participates in it, but there's some sense of rigging and perhaps payment for placing. But we don't know. Those are all speculation on my part. So, the skeptic aside, how is it? Is it really delicious? They claimed it beat George T. Stag. Not Stag Jr., but Papa Stag. 15-year-old barrel proof. I think snowball's chance in hell that a 5-year-old 4-grain beats a 15-year-old George T. Stag. But I don't have any George T. Stag to compare it to, so you're not going to get that from me. Alright, first up is Gentleman of Whiskey's. Go watch their channel. It's his sample. And for a reminder, his was the 131.2 on the nose. Smells sweet. Smells sweet. It's got some cherries on the nose. It's like candy cherry, caramels. I'm not smelling any youth, I'll say that. But it doesn't scream oaky and old. It doesn't. Down the hatch. Wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. Maybe I'm more of a believer now after tasting it. So, I think it's very good. Very oily. Full of flavor. Full of flavor. To me, it's got some maple on it. There's like a cherry type fruit note there, and then a lot of caramel. There's a little bright hit of something immediately on the palate, and then it just disappears. It's like the first thing I get. Feels like a twinge of youth, but then that's the only thing that's there. So if I had this blind and I was a guessing man, I would probably guess older than 5. Would not guess 10 or more. That's all I'm gonna say. So I would say it drinks in that like 5 to 8-ish category, but well done, Smokeye Hill. They said better than George T. Stag. I think that's a stretch. It's not. I mean, I don't have one to compare for you, but it's not. It is reminiscent, though, of Stag Jr. with that like kind of cherry caramel forwardness, if you will. Okay, Dave's sample. Thank you again, Dave and John. Oh, now this has got a little more vanilla cream. with the cherry dialed back. Interesting. There is a slight variation in batch to batch. So there you go. Maybe they submitted a honey batch to the Ascot Awards. We don't know. Down the hatch on Dave's. Okay. That's also very good. It's different. It's different. It hits more like vanilla, toffee, caramel. There's a sweetness there. It does lean maple again. But this one to me just feels like it's missing that cherry note. I'm torn between which one I like better. They both have a pretty high punch of flavor, but they are a little bit different in that aspect, which means whatever one you get, your mileage may vary. So, look, for 85 doll hairs, is it a buy? That's tough. That's tough for me, and I know people are gonna be like, Bourbon Bill, you're smoking crack. How could you not love this? I find it really enjoyable. I just don't know if it's 85 doll hairs enjoyable for me, when for less than that price, we can get a Knob Creek store pick. Already better. I don't even have to drink it to tell you that this is a special, an 11-year-old store pick, so it's definitely older. The oak here is going to dominate. It just is. This one could be interesting though. 130.6 proof, compute, 65.3% alcohol by volume, is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof B524 at an 11-year, 2-month. Also, MSRP on this bad boy, 75 doll hairs. So we're talking more than double the age, roughly the same proof, 10 doll hairs less. You know, that's... And look, we all know Elijah Craig Barrel Proof's a good value. That's not the point here. The point is Smokeye Hill better than that? On the nose? I mean, this has a lot of red fruit in it, but not cherry. Obviously, the Elijah Craig here. Nose-wise, I'm actually going to say they're pretty close. And I know that's crazy, right, in terms of the age. But Smokeye Hills have a lot of fruit on the nose, which makes them delicious smelling. Heaven Hill has that, like, nuttiness. Nut brittle, if you will. It's got more oak, obviously, and it's got like caramel, but it's a little sharper on the nose. And I'm almost finding the fruit and darkness on the Smokeye Hills intriguing. But I'd say they're about even on the nose, which is crazy for 5-year versus 11. Down the hatch on the Elijah Craig. There's just no replacement for age, folks. So much sweet, well-seasoned oak in there with the caramels and the red fruit on the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I'll tell you, the Smokeye Hill is so well put together. It didn't feel like a letdown after drinking the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, which it should have, right, for the age. But it just doesn't have the oak. And there's the slightest hint of youth on it. I think if they aged that sucker up to 10 years, it'd be one of the best bourbons out there. I really do. But it loses the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof tonight on the palate. I think on the nose, you could go either way. Overall, what's my ranking for Smokeye Hill Bourbon? Barrel strength? Gonna go with a B+. Okay, I think it's pretty good. I would like to see it at 65 doll hairs. That's where it belongs. 65 doll hairs. Now, that's not all, because Stag Junior. This is batch 18, actually the first batch to lose the junior designation because it grew up. Oh, we'll miss you. But look, do people pay a lot for Stag Junior? Yes. Yes, they do. Should they? No. They shouldn't. MSRP on these is about 55 doll hairs. What's that? I'm sorry to say 30 doll hairs cheaper MSRP-wise than Smokeye Hill Bourbon. Pour that up here in our clear big glass. This one, batch 18, was 131 proof. Compute, 65.5% alcohol by volume. So, look, not my favorite batch of Stag Junior, right? That goes to 16 for what I've owned. Hard on the nose for the Stag Junior. Oh. It's just got that cherry cola note. It's got oak to it. It's got some fruit. I can see why people kind of felt these were similar profiles. Yes, the one from Gentleman of Whiskey smells very similar to the Stag Junior. The one from Dave does too, but not as similar as the one that Gentleman of Whiskey sent me. I think it's going to be batch dependent on the Smokeye Hills, honestly, as well as the Stag Juniors. They do vary as well. Batch 18 down the hatch. Oh. You always forget just how good Stag Junior is when you haven't had it for a while. Very complex in its meld of oak, fruits, cherry cola type notes on the Stag Junior. Delicious. I'll pick the Smokeye Hill closest in flavor here. Man, gotta say those are super close. Give me those blind, I'm gonna say they're two different batches of Stag Junior. I really would. I can see why people really like the Smokeye Hill Bourbon. I really can. It's comparable with the Stag Junior. It really is. I'm going to say that. So, I know people pay crazy prices for Stag Junior, which is why everyone's like, wow, this is a steel bourbon bill at $85 here. But, you know, again, if that's your preferred flavor profile, fine. Stag Junior is very good, but I would probably prefer the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof as well as this 11-year Knob Creek over that Stag Junior. So just keep in mind that there are older things for less money that are probably more available. Okay? Just pointing that out there for you. If you simply must have a craft option, I'm going to provide you two options other than Smokeye Hill that I think are just as good, if not better, slightly different flavor profiles. Number uno, Kings County Barrel Strength Bourbon. Look how damn dark this is. Look at that. This one's 6 years old, right here on the label. And this is a blend of 6 to 8 actually. This is a seal box pick. This one's really close, like 128.8 proof. Close-in proof. Price on these is like $100 hairs, 110, 90, depending on where you find them at. Maybe slightly more expensive than Smokeye Hill, but a little better, I think. Now, different mash bill. This is 80% corn, 20% UK malt. So it's only a 2 grain versus a 4. Really dig this. Really dig that. That's a craft option for you. Craft option numero dos. Peerless Double Oak Bourbon, baby. Or you can just get a Peerless store pick of their regular bourbon. But this I love the Double Oaks. Just love them. Again, massively dark. Age on this one was also 6 years. This was a Tomar's Pure of the Dark pick. One of my favorite single barrel picks of this ever. But the Double Oaks, again, are very different flavor profile, right? They're very chocolatey, just heavy oak and wood. But there are awesome single barrel picks that are not double oak picks from Peerless. You know, the distillery charges a lot for these, you know, over $100 hairs, but you can find these at other places for like $85 hairs, you know, somewhere in there. So roughly the same price as the Smokeye Hill you can find these for if you look hard enough. So another great option if you must have craft. So to wrap it up, Smokeye Hill, pretty dang good. I think if you're just looking for something different on the craft flavor wheel, you want something similar to a Stag Junior profile because you just can't find Stag, you don't want to overpay for it. If you're okay shelling out $85 hairs, go ahead and pick it up. If you're a bargain hunter and you were told by the Ascot Awards that this is like the next best thing, this could beat George T. Stag, they're wrong. It's nowhere close to that level of excellence because it lacks really any defining well-aged oak notes. There's zero. They're not in there, okay? And that's not the end-all, be-all, but people that want old bourbons want those oak notes. So this is not a replacement for that. That's stupid to think that. That's all I can say about that. So if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe, and consider joining our Patreon. Have a good evening, everybody.